Hi, it's Crystal with StoreThisNotThat.com, where we show you what you should and should not be storing and give you the real scoop on all of the best items for your food storage. Now, March's class is the magic of Magic Mix, and I called it that because Magic Mix for me was a total game changer in how I cook. To me, it seemed literally like magic, how easy it was to use in things to make gravies, white sauces, my own condensed soups, and even something like pudding. Now today I'm going to show you how to actually make your Magic Mix. It's going to be really easy. We're going to make it from powdered milk, flour, and butter, and that's it. Then I'm going to go ahead and show you how to make a basic white sauce from it. Now we're going to turn it into a cheese sauce so that you can put it on something like broccoli or macaroni and cheese like your family is going to love. Then I'm going to show you how to make your own condensed soups. Now you can time me. It's going to take me just as long or just as little time to make as it would to go to your pantry, find the can, open it, and dump it into your bowl to use it in your favorite casserole. Plus, it's going to be made from ingredients you can pronounce, and it's going to be a whole lot cheaper and from your food storage. Finally, we're going to show you how to make this kid-friendly pudding. Now, I used to not like pudding because I thought it had to be the Jell-O pudding, and trust me, when you try homemade pudding, you will never go back to Jell-O. I can promise you that. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, before I can show you all the things you can actually make with Magic Mix, I need to show you how to actually make the Magic Mix. To do this, you're going to need 3 simple ingredients: powdered milk, white flour, and butter. You're also going to need or want a good stand mixer with a wire whisk attachment or a good old-fashioned pastry cutter. Now to begin, I'm going to go ahead and put in my 1 cup of white flour. I like using white flour for this. Then we're going to put in our 1 cup of butter, or that's going to be 2 sticks of butter, really. Now I get asked all the time, now Crystal, why aren't you using powdered butter? If you use powdered butter, it would make this mix shelf stable. And it would make it shelf stable. Just so you can see, I cut up my fresh butter into cubes just to help it incorporate a little bit easier. But there's 2 main reasons why I don't use powdered butter in this. Number 1, powdered butter is actually really expensive. The equivalent pound of butter made from powdered butter is going to cost you almost $5 a pound. I got this pound of butter at Thanksgiving time on sale for $1.99. Now that's a whole lot cheaper, and it doesn't make any sense to use food storage products that are more expensive than the fresh ones on a daily basis, right? So now you know, if butter somehow creeps up to more expensive than $5 a pound, that's a great time to pull out your powdered butter. But until then, I'm a big fan of using fresh butter, and I just store it in my freezer. It lasts a long time. The second reason is that fresh butter, the ingredients are just salt. And if you look at the ingredients on powdered butter, they've added in a few more. It's butter, sweet cream, salt, non-fat milk solid, sodium caseinate, and disodium phosphate. So they obviously had to put in some things to make it shelf stable. I would just rather stick with the fresh for now while it's still cheap. The next thing we're going to put in is 2 1/3 cup of non-instant powdered milk. Now if you have powdered milk from the grocery store, which I don't really recommend getting it this way because it's going to be a whole lot more expensive, the true instant milks have been puffed with air. So you'll see they look almost like tapioca instead of a really fine powder like the non-instant powdered milk is. And if you have that kind of powdered milk, you're going to need to double the amount of powdered milk that you use. This is why I like using the non-instant, because you can fit a lot more in a can, it's a lot better price, and it's a lot easier to use and things like this. Now, I get my powdered milk from the LDS Church Cannery because that's the best price. They're not making a profit off anybody, so you know you're always going to get the best price. In fact, they just lowered their price, and so for equivalent gallon of milk from the LDS Cannery, it's going to cost you about $1.89. That's so cheap. That's at least what you're paying for at the store, so you might as well be saving your fresh milk for drinking and using your powdered milk and cooking and things like this. But be careful. Not all, in fact, I haven't found one food storage company that can sell milk that low. I think the lowest I've seen a food storage company sell it for is $5 or $6 a gallon. And I'm talking like the equivalent to make a gallon of milk. I've seen it as high as over $8. So definitely that would not be a good time to be using it on a daily basis. We're all about using food storage on a daily basis, but only when it makes sense financially. So I'm going to go ahead and close this, lock it, and I'm going to mix it. Now you're going to want to make sure, because it has that really fine powdered milk, it can kind of get everywhere. So make sure you put on your guards so that it doesn't make a big mess. In fact, I will also add on a towel on top just because I really hate cleaning up messes in my kitchen. And so sometimes if you put an extra towel on top, it kind of helps keep everything inside. And then go ahead and turn it on your highest speed for about 3 to 5 minutes until the mixture looks like a coarse cornmeal. Okay, so I've gone ahead and mixed it for a couple minutes. I'm going to take off my protectors here and show you what it's supposed to look like. Now you can see it's got that coarse cornmeal texture, and the surefire way to know when it's done is if you take a little pinch and you pinch it between your fingers, it will stick together. That is perfect Magic Mix. Okay, now when it comes to storing your Magic Mix, obviously because we have that fresh butter in there, it's going to need to be stored either in your fridge or your freezer. It will last in your fridge for 4 to 6 weeks and in your freezer for longer. I just go ahead and I store it in an old number 10 can because I sort of hate to throw these away. I come up with all sorts of ways to use them because they're like 50 cents each. I'm a cheapskate. So you just go ahead and put it in here. Make sure you have a tight lid on it. And store it in your fridge or freezer. Now that I've showed you how to make Magic Mix and how easy it is, now it's time to show you how to make those fun Magic Mix white sauces, which we're actually going to turn into a cheese sauce for broccoli, the condensed soup, and also a pudding that is destined to be a new favorite at your house. Okay, now let me show you to start things off how to make a basic white sauce. Now, this used to be something that was really complicated and some people are really scared to do, but with Magic Mix, it makes it super, super easy. Now, all you're going to need to do this is 1 cup of water, 2/3 cup of Magic Mix, and if you want to turn it into a cheese sauce, which we're going to do, we're going to need a 1/2 cup of cheese. Now, let me show you how easy and how quick it is to whisk this all together. Okay, now we're going to start with our 2/3 cup Magic Mix. Then we're going to go ahead and add in 1 cup of water. Then we're going to use a whisk to mix it all together. Now it's important, if you have nonstick pans, to use a whisk that has silicone on it so it's not going to scratch up your pans. And go ahead and get it well incorporated. Now you're going to want to turn your heat on to about a medium-high heat and just sort of slowly stir it around while it heats up. Now, one of the nicest things about Magic Mix is that there are a lot of recipes that secretly call for Magic Mix. And the way that you'll know it is because it wants you to make a roux. Now, a roux is when you take flour and butter and you melt it together and then you slowly add milk to it to create, a thick sauce like this. You can do the same thing with Magic Mix. In fact, Magic Mix you can even add to hot liquid. Now, if you ever tried making gravy, you know that's a total no-no because you'll get lumps in your gravy. However, because that butter is mixed in already with the flour, you can add it straight into hot liquids and it won't lump up. Now, if you're looking for an easy way out on recipes that call for roux, you just want to look and see if you see the classic heat butter and flour together and then add milk. You want to look for how much milk they're using. That will let you know how much Magic Mix you should be using. For every 1 cup of liquid, you're going to use 2/3 cup of Magic Mix. So if your recipe called for 2 cups of milk, you would use 1 1/3 cup Magic Mix. And then you don't have to make the roux and do that whole thing. It's saving steps. That's one of my favorite things about cooking with food storage. Once I really started cooking from scratch and seeing, is I saw how many time-saving tips you could do with your food storage. Now this is already starting to thicken up, and as it boils, it's going to get even thicker. And then we're going to go ahead and add in our cheese. Now I'm using extra sharp cheese. This is one really great tip because a lot of people just pick up that bag of shredded Monterey Jack and mild cheese from Costco, but when you're using it in something like this where you really want that cheese flavor, both of those cheeses are not very strongly flavored, and so people end up wanting to just add in more cheese to try and get that cheese flavor. But if you add in too much cheese to your white sauce, it's going to ruin everything. It makes it really gloppy and really bad things happen. So you want to make sure and just stick with 1/2 cup of cheese per 1 cup of white sauce, and go ahead and try and use sharp cheese whenever you can. I try and pick it up on sale. It's usually the same price as the other cheeses. And I don't use my freeze-dried cheese in this because freeze-dried cheese costs about $15 a pound. So while I do have it stored, it's not something I use on an everyday basis because you can pick up cheese on sale for so much cheaper. Now you can see it's already starting to get thick. So I'm going to go ahead and add in my cheese. And the cheese is just going to melt into the sauce. And you can even add in a couple other spices if you want. I like to add in just a pinch of the mustard spice, not the mustard you put on a sandwich. And you can see it's already starting to get orange and delicious. You can add in a little extra salt and pepper if you'd like. You could even add in a little onion or garlic if your family likes that. Now you can see everything's all melted and it's thick, so I'm going to go ahead and turn off the heat. I'm going to add in my last couple spices, my little pinch of mustard, and a little bit of salt, but not a ton because that cheese has a lot of salt in it too, and a couple shakes of pepper. Go ahead and give it a good stir. And there you have it, your kid's favorite cheese sauce. You can use it on broccoli, cauliflower, vegetables, and most importantly, in your kid's favorite macaroni and cheese. Okay, so you remember I had my broccoli. Now I'm just going to go ahead and take some of my cheese sauce and drizzle it over the top. This is sure to be one of your kids' favorites, and sometimes when I really feel like being super mom and I'm making a fun homemade family dinner, I'll whip some of this up too, and it just makes it so fun for the kids. And you can put on as much as you want or don't want. Make sure you store it in the fridge, and it will last in your fridge for about 5 days if you don't happen to use it all up. But there you go, so delicious. Now let me go ahead and show you how to make your own homemade condensed soups to be used in any recipe that calls for cream of chicken, cream of mushroom, tomato, cream of celery. Well, you get the idea. Okay, next let me show you how to make your own condensed soups. This for me was the biggest game changer with Magic Mix. I could not believe that I could make it for myself in such a short amount of time. In fact, you can time me. It's going to take just as much time as if I were to go to my pantry, find it, pull it out, open the top, and dump it out into whatever I needed. I can make this in the same amount of time for less money and out of ingredients we can actually pronounce. Now today I'm going to show you how to do a cream of chicken, but I'll have other recipes on the handout for you to download. Now for this we're going to need 3/4 cup of water, 1 cup of Magic Mix, some chicken bouillon, or if you don't want to do chicken bouillon, you're going to turn that 3/4 cup of water into 3/4 cup chicken broth, a teaspoon of parsley, and a little bit of onion powder, salt, and pepper. Now let me show you how easy it comes together. We're going to start out by pouring in 3/4 cup water, and I'm going to go ahead and put in my chicken bouillon. Then I'm going to go ahead and put in my my 1 cup of Magic Mix, and I'm going to get this all whisked together. Now while I'm doing this, I'm going to turn my heat up to a nice medium-high heat and continue to whisk until it's well blended. Now once it's blended, I can go ahead and add in my other seasonings. Now the nice thing about this is you have total control over your ingredients. If your family likes garlic, you could add in a little garlic. If they don't like onion powder, you don't have to put it in. But you can make it just how your family likes it. Now I'm going to put a little bit of onion powder in, that 1 teaspoon of parsley, and I'm going to add in a little bit of salt and a couple shakes of pepper. Now I'm going to go ahead and whisk that together, and actually it's already starting to thicken. And we're just going to keep stirring until it boils. Now once it boils, it's going to come together really quickly. Okay, so it's just about boiling. That was literally like 10 seconds while I was stirring. And now it's going to get thick really fast because it's that condensed style, so it doesn't have as much liquid as our regular white sauce had in it. But you can see it's getting really thick really quickly, and that's about done. So just make sure you turn off the heat and use it in your recipes exactly how you would use any condensed soup recipe. Okay, so I went ahead and emptied out my condensed soup into a bowl for you to see. Here you go. So delicious. I love using these all the time. You saw it didn't take very long to do. You can use them in any recipe calling for any cream of fill-in-the-blank soup that you may have a recipe for. Now on the handout I'll have recipes for making your own cream of mushroom soup, cream of chicken, tomato, cream of celery, cream of broccoli, but really it is totally up to your heart's desire. All you need to do to make a basic condensed soup is use that 3/4 cup water, 1 cup magic mix, and any of the spices that you want to use. So now let me show you how to make that delicious chocolate pudding. Okay, now let me show you how to make that chocolate pudding. Now I actually used to think that I didn't like chocolate pudding until I tried the homemade version, and now I am in love with chocolate pudding. I make it all the time because it's so easy to make as a quick, fast, and easy dessert for my kids. We use it in pie fillings and all sorts of things. So for this, you're going to need 1 cup of magic mix, a 1/2 cup of sugar, 3 tablespoons of cocoa, 2 cups of water, and a teaspoon of vanilla at the end. Now let me show you how it all mixes together. Okay, now unlike the other ones, I'm actually going to start with the dry ingredients first. I'm going to go ahead and add in that 1 cup of magic mix, 1/2 cup of sugar, and 3 tablespoons of cocoa. Then I'm going to go ahead and give that a good stir to mix it in before we add in our 2 cups of water. Now I'm going to add in our 2 cups of water and turn my heat on my stove up to a nice medium heat and go ahead and stir it until it is incorporated. Okay, as you can see, the mix is all incorporated in with the water, and now we just want to keep stirring it until it comes to a boil, because obviously that boiling point is where it's going to thicken up and we don't want it to scorch or to burn. So just go ahead and keep giving it a light stir until you see that it is starting to boil. See, it's starting to get really warm and it's already starting to thicken up. You can almost feel it thickening as you stir it around. And so we just want to make sure that we keep stirring it until it starts to boil. So make sure you keep doing that until it starts to boil, which I think it's about ready to do. And then we're going to go ahead and stir it for about 20 seconds more until it gets even a little bit thicker. Okay, so my pudding has chilled in the fridge for a couple hours, and I wanted you to see how much thicker it is now. Now when I serve it, I just go ahead and slice up a strawberry like so and just throw it on top. Now if you want to make this pudding vanilla flavored, you can do that as well. Just omit that cocoa powder and put in that vanilla at the end, and it's also vanilla pudding that you can use in your recipes. Now if you're looking for a way